I don't know if you guys have ever gone to an embassy, but I know it's not easy to tell them, okay, I want to leave your country and come to this other country. And then they're like, well, if you don't want to be an American citizen anymore, why are you coming to us?
See that you're currently a resident of Canada in the process of applying for Canadian citizenship?
My fiance is Canadian.
Let me ask you something. You no longer want to be an American, but you expect me to give you a new passport?
Okay, thank you, Laurel. Today we're going to talk about the movie French Kiss with Meg Ryan.
All right. This has been one of my favorites for a long time. Obviously, I like anything French. You can see the Eiffel Towers in back of me and all that kind of stuff. And so when I suggested this to Rochelle, she went back and watched it, and it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is. It's, again, one of my favorite movies that I've watched many times through the years. And I remember when you had suggested the other movie that was based in France, The 100-Foot Journey, and finding out that you have this whole, this teaching French and going to Paris and everything. I thought that would be a great next movie to do as well.
Yes, yes. We'll have to do another country next, but France is a good country to, for this movie in particular. And it's not just about France, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, it starts out that you see Kate and she's in a plane. Well, we think she's in a plane, but she's actually just in a place because she's afraid to fly. And she's about to go on a trip with her fiance to Paris. She is in Canada, but she's an American citizen, and she's waiting to become a Canadian citizen and marry her fiance. And they're about to go to Paris, but she's afraid to fly. And she ends up not being able to get through this whole course. She's on a fake plane, and she ends up basically
busting out
the door of this fake airplane down. And I don't even know how she broke it open. And they gave her a refund, and she didn't go to Paris. Her fiance was like, why don't you just go? And she said, I can't, I'm not supposed to leave the country. But
that's true too.
Yeah, she wasn't supposed to leave the country, but she decided not to go, and he went.
What happens? He meets a goddess. He meets a woman that is completely different than Kate. She's beautiful. She's long legs and, very cultured. And he just is so enamored by her that he falls in love with her, and he has to call Kate and say, I'm so sorry, but I fell in love with this goddess.
But it's destiny, Kate. It's what it is. Goddess.
Goddess?
It's French for goddess.
And that propels her decision to go on this plane that she hates being on to win him back.
And when she gets on that plane, she ends up sitting next to Luc.
It's Luc, isn't it?
Luc.
Luc.
No, not Luc. Luc.
Luc.
You want to ask me something or no?
Yes, you must say it this way. Luc. It's the very French way. And it's not Luc, it's Luc. And so it's very particular. French people are very particular about their sounds. And me as an American speaking French, I cannot reach the level of native speaker ever, but I can at least do my best. And I'm pretty good for most Americans to learn from. So it's fun to try and imitate these sounds. And guys, as learning English, some of the sounds that you say, we don't say. And some of the sounds we say, you've never said before, but now you have to try, right? So this one is one of those sounds that you're like, Luc is the name of the guy. And so they sit on this plane, and the lady comes on the loudspeaker and says, blah, 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 in French. And Meg goes, that sounds serious. Or her name is Kate. I should say her name, Kate, in the movie.
Kate, yes.
Is in the movie. And she sits next to, she says to this guy, oh, did you understand that? You're French. What did she say? And he says, oh, there's a crack in the engine, but it's okay. He will fly anyway. She's like, oh, and she gets all nervous, right?
And then I think they come back and they repeat it in English and basically just said, we're about to take off and fasten your seatbelts. And she's like, you lied to me.
Exactly. So that's the beginning of the jokes in the movie, that Kevin Kline is a jokester, and he plays Luc in this movie. and he loves to kind of give her some heart attacks along the way. But then they develop this, well, actually, we haven't even gotten there yet, because what his ulterior motive is for being friends with her is to put this wonderful, beautiful, original vine from his vineyard that he wants to buy someday in her bag so she can pass through customs without being noticed.
Because no one would ever pick her. She doesn't look suspicious. And let's just say too, that Kevin Kline, an American, I think plays a very convincing French person. He took French in high school apparently, but kind of forgot it, then had to kind of work with a voice coach for the accent and kind of learn some French too, because he speaks French in it. I think he's very convincing.
I think he is too. I think he does a great imitation of French. And I love repeating his lines and having fun with that, and all the things that he says. And especially like later on, we'll see some other scenes where he has to he speaks French and then he has English with a French accent. Obviously he speaks English in the movie most of the time, unless he's speaking to his French family. So yes, it's very interesting. So he also has some ulterior motive. He also has stolen a necklace. So this is how he's going to buy the vineyard that he lost to his brother in a hand of poker. He has to go back and redeem himself and buy this vineyard, because this is his life's dream. This is what he wants to do. And so that's why he's going to give everything he has to achieve this. And Kate is part of it.
Kate goes to the hotel, and when she sees Charlie and Juliet coming down the elevator, she kind of faints. And when she does, her stuff gets stolen. It gets stolen by a guy that was kind of talking to her moments before. And all of a sudden, Luke comes back and he's like, hey, what happened? And she's like, my bags are stolen. And he gets all upset and he realizes who stole the bags. So he's like, I'm going to help you get them back.
Right. So the other thief, his name Bob, not Bob, but Bob. And he realizes that's this guy, because he actually just saw him coming on in, didn't realize he had her bag in his hand. And so then he goes, oh, I know who it was. And so they go to Bob's apartment, and they see her bag sitting on a shelf. Everything else has been sold except for the one little thing on the terrace, which is the vine. And so Kevin Kline, who's been playing this character the whole time, is, kind of brash and crazy and funny. He takes this vine in his hand and goes, oh. It's okay. Like he's massaging the vine and making, and she sees this, she goes, oh my gosh, how is he so emotionally attached to this vine? And we realize it's because it's part of his vineyard.
And then she also realizes that's why he's helping me, because he snuck this thing inside of my bag.
Right. So then she realizes, oh, he's not just being nice to me. He actually was trying to use me to advance his plan. So they walk out of the place, and she's all huffy, and she walks around, and she's this cute little thing. And she's like, I don't want your money. And the money that he gave her from what they got for her stuff, she throws it on the ground, and then she walks away, and they are parting in two ways. And then you see she sneaks around the corner and comes back and picks up the money and walks away.
Which she does, because she has nothing at that point. I mean, she's got no passport. She's got no credit card. She's got no nothing.
Right. And she's not even a citizen. Like, she's a Canadian citizen trying to become an American.
No, she's an American citizen trying to become a Canadian citizen.
Trying to become Canadian.
Which neither embassy will help her.
Right. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to an embassy, but I know it's not easy to tell them, okay, I want to leave your country and come to this other country. And then they're like, well, if you don't want to be an American citizen anymore, why are you coming to us?
See that you're currently a resident of Canada, in the process of applying for Canadian citizenship?
My fiance is Canadian.
Let me ask you something. You no longer want to be an American, but you expect me to give you a new passport?
And so it's very confusing. And of course, there are some things that she has to admit, and then they won't let her in. And so, yeah, it's very, very hard for her. So the only thing she can do is really, yeah, she has to rely on Luke to help her out to get back Charlie. So that's what she wants to do, because she thinks if she doesn't get Charlie back, she's going to shrivel up and die, and she's never going to be able to love again. Now, is that actually true, Rochelle?
No, it's not.
No. I mean, if you have ever been in love, and we all have, there is a chance that this is not the love of your life and you're going to find somebody else new. I mean, it might take a while, and you have to climb up out of your, depression from that relationship and find someone new, but you will eventually. It happens that way when you're ready. And she doesn't think this will happen. So she's really afraid that, she won't. And then he's going to see her and snap out of his little dream world with Juliet. And he's going to say, oh, of course I need to go back to nice, dependable, cute Kate. And Kevin Kline doesn't like her at all at first, his character Luke, because she is cute and funny and not all the things that he's used to seeing. He's used to seeing these goddesses like Juliet. But they end up realizing there's more to life than your preconceived notions.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because like Luke is not the ideal person. I mean, he's a thief, he smokes, he possibly hasn't showered enough, and all these things that's not perfect about him, right? She mentions it like on the plane, like
right.
he's
Lack
trying
of
to
hygiene.
smoke on the plane. He's smoking throughout the movie. Again, this is in the late 90s when smoking was very common in airports and restaurants and all that. And she's not really into that, but she starts to realize that actually there's a good part of Luke, and she actually ends up going back. They're on a train ride down to the south of France, this beautiful beach area, and they have to kind of stop because she gets sick on the train ride. She ends up trying. So in France, they have 452 different official government cheeses apparently, but she's lactose
and
intolerant.
She is lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
So I love that scene.
Spasm!
No. Look at the scenery. How beautiful. You see the cows over there.
Please, not the cows.
Not the cows.
Oh, I just ate that cow.
Yeah, exactly. They end up
It's so
stopping
funny.
in the town that Luke is from.
Yeah. She's like, oh, it's so beautiful. And then he's like, oh, I'm from here. Yeah, so it's just very, he's used to it. He doesn't like it. It's beautiful, but, oh, it's too beautiful for me, so I left.
Yeah. And then she ends up seeing him with his family. First, him and his brother don't get along. As we said before, he ended up losing his birthright to the vineyard to a poker hand with his brother, but he also had some other problems with his brother. But the rest of his family still are very much attached to him. So she ends up going and having lunch with them, going to see his room. He shows this wonderful project that he did when he was in school of all these different herbs and bottles, and how the herbs in the bottles, everything is in the land, and that the wine absorbs all this. It's like people, it absorbs all the stuff. So when she smells the different things and then she tastes the wine, she can taste those different herbs like the lavender,
rosemary, and cardamom. I don't know what else is in the land, but it's just amazing. She can smell it now. Oh yes, I smell this, and she realizes there's more to him than just this other part.
And so when they do get down to the south of France, I'm not sure the name of the city, he's going to help her try to win back Charlie. And they're going to go confront him, but she's going to go and say, oh, I don't really want you back. I just kind of like I did come here at first to try to get you back, but then I met Luke and I'm happy. And, basically I just want to tie some loose strings up.
And that's when I took up with Luke.
Luke?
Luke. Charlie? Luke?
Enchanté. Sweetie pie?
Oui.
Oh, la 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 la.
They decide that she will go to dinner with Charlie, and then Luke will go and take Juliet out of the way.
So Charlie apologizes to Kate, and they're in Cannes, by the way, the famous place where all the movies are made. And so he apologizes to her, and then she tells him of her new plans, and she's talking to him about Luke and how she's so vivacious and lively. So he says, well, you're so different. Why are you so different? And she's like, well, it's all this French air and, I'm just feeling good about my life now. He goes, well, now I want to be with you. So they go to his room. Luke and Juliet also decided to go into, I guess it was Juliet's room. And she's like, am I still pretty? Am I still, because they don't know each other, but they're both French and they're both, going to try and, see what kind of romance they can conjure up. And they're in action. And all of a sudden, Luke says, Kate. And Juliet realizes that he's not in love with her, he's in love with Kate.
Mm-hmm.
And
then Kate and Charlie, Kate's like, well, why wasn't it you that basically Charlie had said something to her during dinner, like, oh, it's like you have a big light, a light has gone on in you. And she's like, well, why didn't you put that light on? And you know what? He said, oh, maybe we were rushing too fast into marriage. And she says, well, you were not afraid to marry Juliet. So basically she says to him, you know what, there's one thing I don't want. And Charlie points to himself and she's like, yeah, sorry, Charlie. She don't want Charlie anymore.
And that's funny because we say that in America, don't we? Sorry, Charlie. That's like one of our little sayings. I think it's funny that they named him Charlie just so they could say sorry, Charlie at the end.
Yeah. So there was another part of this whole thing that, Luke has been kind of running away from an inspector because he has a stolen necklace, but the inspector and him were friends from who knows when. At some point, he must have saved the inspector's life. The inspector knows that Luke stole the necklace. Luke wants to sell the necklace so he can buy the vineyard. Kate knows that Luke wants to sell this necklace to buy the vineyard. And at one point, the inspector confronts Kate and he says, Luke stole this necklace. He needs to turn himself in. And Kate knows that he won't. So she says to Luke, why don't I sell the necklace for you?
Right.
And what does Kate do then?
She goes to Cartier and she tries to, say, how much is this worth? And they're like, it's worth a lot. Well, I'm not sure how much it was, but it was like a lot
over
of
100,000.
Yeah, these are real diamonds. This is $45,000.
$45,000 is what Kate has in her little nest egg because she's saved up this money to buy a house with Charlie. She saved up $45,000, but this necklace is worth 100. So she goes to Cartier's and she pretends to sell the necklace for Luke because maybe she's this American, she could get more money for it. Right. And she goes in there and has Cartier write a check from Cartier for the $45,000 that belongs to Kate to give to Luke. So really isn't for the necklace. Basically, she's turning that necklace into an inspector and Cartier is doing the favor of taking her money that was wired to them and making it into a check so it would look like Kate sold the necklace. And Kate says, well, there were some flaws. That's why you didn't get $100,000. There were some flaws.
Yeah. So why is she doing this for him? That's the biggest question. Why is she giving away her life savings to this man that she barely knows? Just to get him off the hook, to make it look like, she's selling this necklace. I think she realizes that she's not in love with Charlie. She loves Luke, but she doesn't want to admit it, or she doesn't want him to just love her because she gave him money. And so she's willing to walk away, start over again, and be done with it.
And she tells Luke that Charlie's waiting for her. So she doesn't lie to him, but she's like, he wants to come back because that was true. He wanted to come back, but she doesn't tell him that she told Charlie no. And so it wasn't until Luke ends up bumping into the inspector and the inspector tells him what Kate has done for Luke.
And he didn't even say it like in full words. He said, that's not love, when he was looking at Charlie and Juliet, because they're kind of like fighting in the background. And he's like, this, what is love is what she did for you. And he realizes that.
And so he somehow gets himself, Kate's about to fly back to Canada or United States or somewhere. She's on a plane and she's got her eyes shut. And all of a sudden she hears Luke and he says, you're not afraid to fly anymore? Do you have that cottage in your head? And she says, yes, it's by a beautiful vineyard. I don't know how he got on the plane, but he
I
got on the
know.
plane.
You're not afraid to fly anymore? You are thinking of your little stone cottage?
It's on a hillside next to a beautiful vineyard.
Right.
Maybe
And
the
he
inspector
confesses
helps
his
him.
love
I
for
don't know.
her.
Let's.
Yeah. And so she opens her eyes and he's right there and his face is all apologetic and he's so sorry that he did this to her and he wants her to be with him. And she says, and remember the last part where he says, I don't know if we talked about this. I want you to go get Charlie, right? To woo him back to you. And, you know, that's what I want to do to help you. And this time he says, I want you. And she goes, yes. He goes, I want you. That was the end of the sentence. So she realizes, oh, he really wants me. It's not just, you know, because he doesn't know. Well, he does now about the necklace, but she wants to go back. So
And
what do
then
they
you
end up
see them
doing at
later
the end?
on walking in their beautiful vineyard.
Yes, yes. It's such a romantic story. And that's the last scene is they're standing in the vineyard kissing, probably French kissing, in this beautiful vineyard. And it's such a cute story.
And Rose, when you kiss me.
I know we are not Siskel and Ebert. We are not talking about like a teaser. This is the whole movie.
This is the whole movie, but it's good because I think it helps. Like the point of our conversations is to help someone that is watching this movie to learn English. So one, we talked about some of, I think you alluded to in the beginning of how people, when you're trying to learn different languages, sometimes you can't make different sounds. We kind of talked about that. And I think part of the reason for these conversations is that somebody can watch our conversation and then watch the movie and then maybe watch our conversation again, and maybe it will help them understand and help them learn. So yeah, we kind of gave away the plot. We gave away the, spoiled the plot for you.
He's kind of a companion to the movie. So watch this first. If this interests you, then you go look for the movie, because in America, you cannot rent French Kiss on streaming like on Netflix or anything. And so I had a hard time trying to find it. But in other countries, maybe you can.
Yeah,
so
and it is available. You can still buy the DVD from Amazon. And as our friend Ken will normally do, I'm off to eBay. He'll say,
yes, exactly. You can buy it on eBay or Amazon or anything else and put it in your DVD player and watch it. And it is a 20-plus-year-old movie. So, I mean, you're going to 1995?
1995. So you're going to see, like, I don't even think I saw cell phones, but you're going to see some older technology, bigger computers and see. But besides that, I think it's very current. I think there isn't that much that dates it.
And also the whole thing about Kate keeping missing things, like she misses the Eiffel Tower. She's supposed to go there and see it, and every time she looks
for it, she turns around and she misses it.
Yeah, or I will triumph.
Oh, right, the one where she's calling. What you want to talk about that, when she was calling the in-laws or the future in-laws?
Yeah, so she's very close to her in-laws, her prospective in-laws, her fiance's family, and she's like, Mom, and they're like, should you really be calling her mom if you're not together anymore, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a family relations issue. But I don't know, her family is not in the picture for some reason, so she was calling his family and talking to her situation is so dire. She needs to get money, passport, whatever. So and she's like, I will triumph, and the Arc de Triomphe is right behind her, and she doesn't even see it.
I will triumph.
So I guess we see what we want to see, or we don't see things that are right in front of us. I mean, those are two lessons we can learn.
And I think another thing too is that it's filmed on location. It's beautiful. If you like Paris, if you like France, it's a great movie for you. If you like Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline, I watched just about every single movie from Meg Ryan made, and I love Kevin Kline as an actor. I would definitely suggest it if you like a nice romantic comedy.
And there's definitely some love and some passion and some, funny scenes. It's got everything. And so that's why it's a great movie to watch.
And so what do you have a suggestion for our next movie?
Yes, we were going to watch another Meg Ryan movie, weren't we? Well, there's another movie about relationships that Meg Ryan made early in her career, even earlier than this. and it's with one of the funniest guys in American comedy called Billy Crystal.
Oh,
And
right.
so Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal play When Harry Met Sally. And the question is, can a man and a woman really be friends?
That's a good question. Well, I
It
guess
is.
we'll find out. So it's off to either Amazon or to eBay or to streaming services to hunt this one down, right?
Yep. And you can learn a little bit more about French Kiss and why this movie is called French Kiss. Should we mention that?
Did you discover why that was called French Kiss?
Well, I didn't, but I think the reason is because when you are kissing somebody, you give a little bit of your soul, a little bit of your, self to that person because kissing is so intimate. Whereas, if you're with, some lady of the night, it may not be. But if you kiss somebody, that is much more
Very
intimate.
personal.
So I think, yes. And I think that's why French Kiss is called French Kiss, is because of that.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that we had this idea to watch this movie because I never grow tired of this movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. So we'll have to keep discovering new and old movies and telling people this is how you learn English is by listening to this conversation.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. And don't forget, if you are interested in, Laurel has a wonderful YouTube channel that will be in the description. And you can also contact her through her email and set up a time to have an English or a French lesson.
There you go. Laurel's Learning Lab is my new website, laurelslearninglab.com. You can request an email from me there. If you want to just click on the little email button, you can get in contact with me and I can talk to you about English or French or answer any questions you have.
All right. Thanks so much.